Alabama, I don't know if you guys noticed this. They had slightly more of an easier time against a Notre Dame in the first game. Certainly there being an 11-day or 10.5-day resting period of sorts between games helps. But Ohio State seemed to have exhausted itself a little bit more than Alabama. And in addition to the physical beating that we saw Justin Fields take, but the entire team, his was kind of a symbolic beating to a certain extent, in just thinking about everything that was put into this game, this Clemson win, of whether this has exhausted this team or could have some ill effects mentally and physically. Tony?
I think there is some possibility there based on how much they were looking at Clemson from the get-go since last year. They could possibly have exerted themselves emotionally and physically, but then you do have time to recover, and it is not just a 1 week and then it's time to play. So they do have some time there, and then with that time comes the realization that this is the actual goal from the outset. It wasn't Clemson. They wanted Clemson, and they're happy to get Clemson. But the actual final goal, the big boss at the end, is a national title. And Ryan Day has said all along he just wants his team to have something to show for everything they've gone through. I think they already have that. But if you want everything to show, like if you want it all, there is that opportunity. And it would be hard for me to believe a coach or a program that is designed on winning national championships or designed with that intent would get to that point and then not have the emotions to be able to get through it. Physically, they may not be able to. Like that may be what cost them, be it Justin Fields, be it the coronavirus. That may be what impacts them greater than just like they've spared all of their emotional expense against Clemson. I think they can get right back up for Alabama, but physically I think there could be some issues.
One of the things I think about is these opportunities only come around once in a lifetime, once in a player's stint at a college. I mean, obviously Clemson and Alabama have been playing for it every year, it seems like, for the last 5 years. But, Ohio State, this is their first time in there with this collection of players. None of these players have ever played in a national championship game. Ohio State did play in 2 of them back-to-back in 6 and 7 against Florida and LSU prior to that. And a few of those guys on the team in 2006 would have been true freshmen in 2002 when they played Miami, but probably didn't play any kind of an on-field role as redshirts more than likely in 2002. So you only get one, typically you only get one bite at this apple, and you want to take advantage of it when you do. And they certainly did that in 2002 with Miami. They came up with the plan. They out-executed Miami. They out-physicaled Miami, outplayed them, and won that game. And certainly, having to win the 2 games in 2015, beating Alabama, which you thought, wow, they just scaled the biggest mountain that's out there. And Oregon was almost an anticlimax after that. That's not necessarily the case this time because Alabama is number 1, obviously. They're undefeated, whereas Clemson had lost the game previously and had a few holes in kind of their resume, which Ohio State was able to take advantage of. I'm interested again. You want to come away from this knowing you gave it everything that you have. In 2006, when they lost to Florida, they didn't give themselves a proper chance to beat Florida. I don't know if they overlooked Florida or what the situation was. That certainly won't be the case this time. Ohio State's not going to overlook Alabama, but they didn't take Florida seriously, and Florida, as the underdog, came in and just leveled them. Then the following year, it was all basically self-inflicted. They had, I want to say, 3 turnovers. They gave up 5 sacks. And there were 5 15-yard personal foul penalties in that game for Ohio State, including a roughing the punter when they were getting the ball back with a chance to tie the game down 7. Instead, LSU got the ball and retained it and went down and made it 14. and the game was over. So you want to come away from this game with no regrets, that you gave it everything that you possibly had to win the national championship. And if you're able to do that, you, as we said, you etch your name in Ohio State football immortality and college football immortality. And then the joke is you'll never pay for a beer ever again in Columbus, Ohio, which, I think for a lot of the guys is probably pretty true. If they're big beer drinkers, they get a lot of free beer out there. So, it depends how big of a beer drinker are you. Does this really mean something to you? So at any rate, I'm just joking, of course, but I am of a mind that this team's going to take as much advantage of this opportunity as they can. I am of a mind that they're going to be in this game in the fourth quarter, and then it could just come down to one bounce or one whatever that puts them over the top.